Hey everybody. I am in a silly goofy mood and I'm going to answer some dating questions that I got on my Instagram stories. I put up one of the little question boxes on the Told Her account and on my Devyn Penny account, and there's a lot to say. So I chose like 6 questions and I'm just going to run through them. Fun part, I'm going to have wine while I do this. This is another great Chianti, Castellani, 1999. Chianti goes with everything. We discussed this in my last video, but I just thought, let's have fun. Happy Valentine's Day. I don't know how everyone feels about Valentine's Day. I grew up with a mother who despised Valentine's Day almost in a weird way. I think she and my dad broke up on Valentine's Day, not in life, just when they were young. And got back together. But yeah, I grew up in a house that was like, no Valentine's Day. She doesn't like flowers, all those things. And then the older I got, I was like, I kind of like Valentine's Day. It's just cute and you get to wear red and pink and hearts everywhere and have fun and drink wine and do whatever the fuck you want. So that's my take on Valentine's Day. I don't really think it's amazing or not amazing. I've had Valentine's where I've had boyfriends and we've gone out. I've gone on Valentine's dates with people that I hardly know. I've been totally single and had nothing to do on Valentine's Day. It's all the same to me. It's just another day, but kind of fun if you want to make it fun. So I'm choosing to make it fun. Cheers. Okay, let's start off with a bang, literally. First question is, how long should you wait to sleep with someone? Age-old question. Everyone has an answer. My answer is either going to make people fight me in the comments or is going to be lackluster. I don't think that there's a rule. I think you sleep with someone when you personally are ready to sleep with someone. I personally don't like to sleep with someone right away if I really like them. But if I don't like you, I'll sleep with you right away. So I don't think that it really matters. The longer term connections that I've had have been kind of like a buildup of a couple different dates. And I guess when I say that, my number in my head is 3. I like to meet someone for like the first time and go on a date with them, get to know them. And then if I want a second date, I want the second date to be like, let's go a little deeper. And then the third date, I feel like, if you like someone, if you don't like someone, if you want to be with them or not. It doesn't happen probably that quickly for everybody. And for other people, it's like love at first sight and they sleep together right away. I just think that in general, it's up to you. And the most important thing is that it's on your timeline and that you are comfortable. And honestly, have the conversation, have the discussion. How do you feel about this? What should we do next? Just throw it out there. But I think there's no right time, there's no wrong time. I think it's just about what works for you in that relationship in the moment. So yeah, be safe, enjoy yourself, do what you need to do. Don't do what you don't want to do. Okay, the second question is, how do I date without rushing or getting too excited or ahead of myself? Okay, this is something that I feel like happens often, really at any age, but especially when you're younger, because there's again this narrative, this trope, this understanding that we all have to be married and like wifed up by a certain age. And so immediately when you meet someone you like, you start to think about this whole future. That does go away a little bit as you get older, I think. But I think it's important to give yourself some time and some perspective and to not be all consumed by relationships. The easiest, best way to put this is that any relationship that you have should be an addition to your life. It should complement the things that are already there. It's not there to complete you. It's not there to take up all of your time. You should be able to have a fully functioning whole life with or without this person. It's sort of like the cherry on top. Like, oh, great, I have this beautiful life that I love, and then I also have this person. So I really think that the most important part of dating and kind of taking it slow is not so much about how you are in the relationship as it is how you are out of the relationship. Giving yourself time to build a life and have this foundation that you feel really good about no matter who comes in or out of it, I think is really the key. And yeah, this person that you're dating should just add to that and give you more of the things that you already have, more of the excitement, more of the enjoyability, more of the ease, more of the peace, whatever it is. I think also, like, it's okay to get excited. I know that we have this thing where we should all play it cool, as my grandmother would say, be aloof. But I think that it sometimes doesn't really serve us to play it too cool. I used to be a big play it cool person, and then it was so exhausting for me that I just had to stop. And now I'm just an open book. But I think, yeah, it's okay to be excited. It's okay to share your excitement with the other person. I think that it's also about not putting yourself on timelines. How quickly do you need to be in this phase of your relationship? How quickly do you need to know this about a person? How quickly do you need to know that about a person? How quickly do you need to be engaged? How quickly do you need to be married? Again, a lot of these timelines that we keep ourselves on are the things that keep us feeling like, oh my God, I'm in such a rush. And you just don't have to be. You're not in a rush. So many people that I know who are happily married and have children didn't meet their partners until they were in their mid 30s and beyond. I know someone now who's dating the love of her life and she's in her 50s. Like, it's just one of those things that will come to you when you're ready for it. And I think giving yourself a chance to just slow down and enjoy the moment and be present and not worry and think so much about the future, good or bad, is part of just life's journey, but also a relationship's journey. I can only have one glass of wine because I have to go to a dinner later and I need to be fresh. Okay, the third question is kind of like a follow up to the last question, or part two, but it's, how do I really get to know someone? This is a great question because I think so many times when we go into a relationship, we are only thinking about, do I like someone? Our criteria for that a lot of times is kind of fogged by this notion of, I want to be with this person. So I think the best way to get to know someone is, first of all, to ask questions and listen to the answer without waiting to respond. You know how sometimes you're talking to someone and you can just tell that they're like listening, but it's almost like no one's home because they're thinking of the next thing that they're going to say? Don't do that. Just ask a question and listen to the answer. And maybe you have nothing to say back to that. But it's about listening to the person, getting to know the person, and not worrying so much about what the follow-up is, what you need to say, how you can solution the problem, etc. I also think that it's really important to be in different environments with a person that you're dating. Like, it's fine to just always go get a drink at the bar, but that's not really showing much of the person's character or likes or dislikes. So that means coming up with some more creative dates and also allowing the other person to choose what you're doing and making it kind of an activity. And then also giving yourself some room to be spontaneous. New York is such a great city to date in the sense that there's so much to do. And a lot of it can start with just like a walk, like, oh, let's go walk the West Side Highway and see where we end up. Those are usually the most fun dates, and they help you get to know the person that you're with, because there is some sort of like navigational skill that goes into that, logistical skill that goes into that. You see what the person wants to do when they kind of have a free day. I also feel like there's a reason why they say that you should do specific things before you marry someone, right? So like live with them, travel with them, experience grief with them, like whatever, because there are different versions of people that show up in different situations. So putting yourself in different situations with this person as you're getting to know them is going to help you really see the way that they operate in the world, and not just sitting at a bar ordering a martini. I also think that right now we happen to be in an era where there are so many icebreaker games, like card games, and those are really helpful. I have worked with couples before, and one of the exercises that I sort of give to them is this idea of like a fishbowl exercise, where you write down questions to each other to be answered, whether they're about the current situation or just about the person in general. Could be like, how do you feel about your current relationship with your mother or father? Or what was your most prominent memory as a child? And it also could be, how do you feel when you come home and I don't greet you with a kiss? Like something along those lines, right? The point is that you put all these questions into a fishbowl and then you take like 30 minutes every Friday night and just go through a couple questions and ask each other. I've found that this is helpful because it's an intro to a conversation. Anything that you're kind of like reading off of is almost like a barrier in a good way that helps you then break through to the rest of maybe what you want to say or the kinds of conversations you want to have. Because for some reason, even if the questions do come directly from you, it feels like, oh, I'm asking this because this is the question on the page, not because this just came to me and I need to know the answer. So I think that, yeah, those are some good ways to get to know people. Okay, next question is time sensitive. What to get boys for Valentine's Day? I have some thoughts. Some are original, some are not. The first and most obvious thing to me is cologne, because you know what you want your person to smell like. And also, it's just kind of like this sexy but sweet and also thoughtful gift. Usually you can get a good cologne for like 50 to $100. It's not something that's crazy expensive. And again, it gives you an opportunity to smell what you want to be smelling. The other thing I think is that we always hear about how men never get flowers until their funeral, which is sad to think about. But I think getting your man some flowers is nice. And if you don't want to do that, like a plant, dare I say, love fern a la How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. But getting someone a plant to like look after and have in their office or on a windowsill in your house, I think that that's a nice gesture. Again, inexpensive. If your partner would be receptive to flowers, buy the flowers. I also think that anything having to do with something they love is really what you're going for. So like, let's just say your partner loves to cook. Getting them like a really nice wooden cutting board is a nice idea. If your person likes sports, maybe some sort of cool like framed photo of an article of their favorite sports team. Like there are just ways to kind of get creative with these basic things. I think Valentine's Day gifts are about being thoughtful more so than anything else. A piece of art, that's cool. And then I also think, and this is my personal way of gift giving just in general, is giving some sort of an experience. So like getting a gift card to both of your favorite restaurant and going there together, taking them ice skating, taking them to a movie, giving a gift card for some sort of like app or something that they use. Last year, for example, I gave my boyfriend at the time like a yearly subscription to Spotify. Don't ask why he didn't have Spotify. It was like the bane of my existence for 4 years. But yeah, that was a great gift. And that was something that like he uses and he loved, but that wasn't something that I had to get so creative or so out of the box about, but was thoughtful. So that's what I would say. Lead with being thoughtful and leaning into some of your partner's interests, likes, dislikes, but also recognizing that this isn't going to make or break the relationship, I don't think. Number 5 is when I really need the wine, and that's what I've been warming up for. What is the worst date you have ever been on? I have ever been on. Okay, I will preface with this. I like dating. It does not stress me out. It does not overwhelm me. I think it's fun. I'm not someone who wants to get married. I don't want to have children, so I'm never putting pressure on it. So I've had, for the most part, really good dating experiences. I have 2 dates that come to mind. The first one I told on my TikTok, so go there to listen to it. And then this story that I'm going to tell you now, which was for sure the worst date I've ever been on. So football Sundays in New York City, especially like Midtown, Upper East Side, tons and tons of sports bars. You go out all day, you see all the different games. The bars have like gigantic inflatable football players outside of each bar to indicate what games are on, etc. big day in the city during the fall is to go out for Sunday football. So my friend and I would always go watch the games, and it's a great place to meet guys. And I met this really nice guy sitting next to him at a bar. I am the type of person who will strike up a conversation with the brick wall to my right. So I am just that person. We naturally started talking. I think we were both rooting for the same team. I'm a Patriots fan. But I don't remember. I just remember having a lot of fun, and we got pretty wasted. And by the end of the game, he had asked me out. He had asked me for my number, said, let's go out and do whatever it is two grown people do on a date. So I said yes. I was like, this guy's cute. This is fun. This is great. He lived in the neighborhood, which is always a plus when you live in Manhattan. Like going to another neighborhood, it seems like it's so close, but with traffic and all that kind of stuff, it's annoying. So when you meet someone in your neighborhood, you're like, major score. So he texted me later that night. He's like, let's go out this week. Okay, great. We pick a date. He says, why don't you meet me at like 5 o'clock? We'll do like a happy hour and then we'll go to dinner. There's this great steakhouse that's like right on my block, and that's where we were going to go to dinner. So I meet him at 5 o'clock for a happy hour at like one of the local bars in our neighborhood. We have our first drink. He is cute, but he's not as cute, and I'm not as into him as I remembered that I was when I was on my 7th beer the Sunday prior. So, which is fine. I'm enjoying it. I am in it. I'm present. I'm there. So we have our first drink. We enjoy ourselves. He goes, let me take you to this bar across the street. I know the bartender, blah, blah, blah. Great. By the time that it's 8 o'clock, we've probably been to 4 or 5 different bars. Okay. So we haven't even had dinner yet. I haven't had food since noon. I'm starting to feel like I need some food in my body. He starts to get a little bit more like touchy feely, but also like more confident. Some may even call it cocky. Not really my vibe, but fine. We'll go to dinner. So we go to the steakhouse and we sit down, and like at this point I'm realizing he is wasted. And I'm not saying this as a person who's not self-aware. I know when I've had too much to drink. In this moment though, it was like lights on, no one's home. We're sitting at the restaurant. I know the people who own the restaurant. I know the maitre d'. I know the waiters. And now I'm sitting here with this drunken guy. Okay, fine. He proceeds to order like 4 or 5 things off the menu, none of which I want. So I order my own thing. I'm not really a you order for me type of girl at a restaurant. That's not what it's going to be. We order our own things. We eat our own things. If you want a bite of my thing, you can have one. But I probably don't want a bite of your thing. Otherwise, I would have ordered it. And also can make my own food decisions. So he orders a bunch of things. I order my own thing. He's pissed. He's like, why would you order something more than what I ordered? Explained to him I didn't want the things he ordered. Fine. I'm also at this point 100% intending on splitting this bill. Like, I don't care how much it is. At this point, I'm not even on a date with this person anymore. I just have a person in front of me who's, could vomit at any moment. We had ordered a drink, obviously. What's the worst that could happen? And we get our apps and we're sitting there, and he's like, I'm going to get this bottle of wine for dinner. I love it here. I go, great. Do you? I will have some wine. Don't look at the menu. Don't think about the bottle of wine. Don't think about anything. Bottle comes to the table. Guy uncorks it, does the whole thing. Drunk guy next to me smells it, swirls it, whatever. And then says, yeah, I love that. That's great. So I have the wine. The wine is great. I think I had a half of my glass before he looked at me and said, you should really be more grateful. I said, oh, why is that? Well, I just bought you a really nice bottle of wine. That bottle of wine is like $400. I said, oh, I didn't know it was that expensive. I, wish you had told me before we got it, which I thought would just like clear things up. Again, I'm already in my head. I'm like, get through the dinner so you can leave. And when someone's drunk and you can't even like trust them to tip properly, like this is where I'm at in my head. Otherwise, I probably would have left much earlier. But I was like, he really doesn't even know. Like the fact that he even ordered that bottle of wine and knew how much it cost was crazy. So me saying, oh, I wasn't aware that it was an expensive bottle of wine, whatever. was not enough for him. He said, no, really, like, you should be more grateful that I took you here, that we live in the same, I've been here a million times. I know everybody here. It's fine. It's fine. I am calm, cool, and collected at this moment. Again, we have had drinks before this. So even though I'm acting now as if I was like stone cold sober, watching this all play out from a different POV, I was not. I definitely had cocktails, a $400 bottle of wine at this point. And he is still pretty upset and continues to say, like, I took you on this date. I did all these things. I called you right after I met you. I blah, blah, blah. Like, oh. And as he's saying these things, I'm like, oh, well, the bar is in hell. These are normal things that you do. But he was really upset to the point where he actually at one point in time started yelling at me that I wasn't being grateful enough for the wine, for everything else. The waiter looked at me and was like, oh my God, you should leave. Literally said that. He said, you should leave. I'll take care of this. So I got up and I left and I never saw the guy again. But that was my worst date by a lot. I've had some other dates that are bizarre, but that was like a memorably bad date. Having someone yell at you at the dinner table because they bought you a bottle of wine that you're not grateful enough for, that was a vibe. The moral of the story is don't drink too much before dinner. Always look at the menu items that someone's ordering for you. And also don't allow people to talk to you and treat you like shit. And don't be impressed by someone taking you on a date. Thank you, sir. I do just want to add that at the time of that date, I was probably 24 and he was probably 32. He knows better. As I'm drinking wine, I want to show you these. Obviously, this is not an ad or a sponsored anything, but these are my favorite things. They are teeth wipes. And if you've had red wine and like, you know how you start to get like a purpley mouth, you keep one of these in your purse, you take it out, you go to the bathroom, you wipe your teeth off. It's minty, it's fresh, and it actually really like helps restore a lot of the whiteness to your teeth. I think it is whitening, but I think that's placebo also. Okay, back to regularly scheduled programming. When is it appropriate to ask someone to be exclusive? So here's what I'll say about this. I think that there should be an open, direct, clear, concise line of communication from the beginning of any relationship. So conversations like this should be able to just be brought up naturally and not in a way where the other person isn't expecting it or feels uncomfortable by it. This should be something that you kind of know about the other person, right? Are you looking for anything? Are you not looking for anything? Do you want a commitment? Do you not want a commitment? When was your last relationship? Did you enjoy it? Do you want to be monogamous? Do you want to be exclusive? These are conversations. I've had these conversations a week into a relationship, and I've had these conversations 2 years into a relationship. So it's really just about what the right timing is for both of you. But I do feel like if you have a line of open communication with this person from the beginning, that these kinds of conversations and other conversations that are perceived as like difficult or weird or strange or awkward are not that. When you can just communicate clearly and say to someone, let's say you really want to be exclusive with this person and you've been dating for 5 weeks, it shouldn't be weird or awkward to say to them, hey, by the way, I've been thinking and I'm really enjoying our time together. Do you see us being exclusive in the immediate future? Like, I don't want to be seeing anybody else. What are you thinking? And allowing that to just be a natural, organic conversation and be okay with receiving whatever answer and knowing what your kind of non-negotiables are. If you hear back from this person and they say, yeah, I don't want to be exclusive, I'm not looking for a commitment right now, is that okay with you? If it's not okay with you, it's your responsibility to leave. I know that's hard to do, but I think that more awkward than having the conversation of are we exclusive or are we not is someone being too afraid to have any conversation at all and just kind of being like dragged along on this ride until it feels like it's too late to have the conversation or you're already resentful of the other person. So I would just say establish communication right up front, clear, concise. direct. And yeah, then you can have all kinds of awkward conversations. I really like these Q&A sessions. I feel like we should do these all the time. So if you have other questions, I would be happy to answer them. Leave them in the comments, leave them on my Instagram, go to TikTok. Also go to obviously all the Told Her accounts. You can leave anything in my DMs, whatever. I'm checking everything all the time. So if you have any sort of comments, questions, conundrums, queries, whatever, yeah, reach out and I'll answer you. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's weekend, whether you have plans or not, have a significant other or not. Make it a day that is enjoyable for you and not that is about another person. Yes, it's wonderful to show love to your partner. You should be doing that every day. If you don't have a partner, show love to yourself. You should also be doing that every day. Cheers.